Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's just gone 1 minute after 10 o'clock, and my colleague Inayat Wadi is standing by to talk with us regarding Dr. Mads Gilbert. Alhamdulillah, he's landed safely, and Inayat's going to talk to us about the meeting for the first time with this amazing man and what else is going to be happening from here on. Inayat Wadi, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, Sister Julie, and assalamu alaikum to all the listeners. As you correctly pointed out, at 7 a.m. this morning, the Salam Media team was at OR Tambo International, and alhamdulillah, Dr. Mads Gilbert had landed. And, the first meeting, I've met him before when he was here in South Africa, but this time around, it just felt very, very different because one can actually see the pain. And as he landed, news had actually broken out about army forces who are already inside the Al-Shifa hospital that he's worked so hard in for over 15 years. They are in the office of the director at the Al-Shifa hospital. There are more than 300 soldiers inside the Al-Shifa hospital together with special forces. So this news had actually hit him the moment he had actually touched down. And he was on an interview with Al Jazeera for about half an hour before he had actually come through to come and meet us. And the very first question, I greeted him, but his first response, saying that how happy he is to be here in South Africa, but immediately he started expressing his deep concerns as to what is happening in Shifa. So this has really touched him very, very deeply. This is something that he's been passionate about, a hospital that he knows every inch. And we've heard, this has come through with the instructions from the United States of America telling Israel that they've got intelligence about the command center in Al-Shifa. Dr. Gilbert has debunked this over and over again, saying he knows every inch of the hospital, and it's not the case. So that massacre, that atrocity, that carnage, that brutality is unfolding right now as he has touched. And as I mentioned, this is of major concern to him. And when I spoke to him about a few things, he says, I'm sorry. He says that if I don't respond, because he says, my mind is so preoccupied with what is taking place in Gaza right now.
You referred to the interview that he did with Al Jazeera earlier on. I did catch that interview, amazing interview. And you also alluded to the instructions from America saying that they have intelligence proving the fact that Hamas's headquarters are in the Al-Shifa hospital. I came across that statement as well. My thing as a media journalist, my question then is, if you as a country who have blood on your hands regarding this genocide, if you have the proof, then show the proof to the world. Then shut us up by providing the proof. Don't say we have the proof, but you go on and the genocide increases. Be that as it may, I'm just at a loss for words regarding America's tactics and the fact that they are absolutely and totally complicit in this genocide. Before you also respond to me further, Roshan Anwar is asking why the Arab countries can't boycott Israel products. Inayat.
Well, this has been a major cause for concern. It's been a major debating point. Just last week, we've seen the Arab summit that had taken place in Riyadh. And there alone, there was disagreement already at the beginning as to who would be part and parcel of this summit. So there is a lot of infighting that is going on, and there are a lot of mixed signals. There are many mixed messages that have actually come out of the summit, where 11 countries, there were 4 points that needed to be adopted. One was to use the economy using oil as leverage and place an embargo on that. There was total rejection from some of the major countries, including the likes of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. There was talk about military action. That also was thrown out of the window. So what I'm saying, Julie, is there's just so much disagreement. And the other problem is we've seen this rhetoric repeated over and over again. Many of these leaders are actually good at making speeches to appease the masses, because at this point in time, the leadership in the Arab world, the leadership in the Muslim world is feeling the heat on the ground. We've seen protests taking place right across the entire world. They are feeling the heat. Now, to appease the masses, you have the summit, but at the end of the day, it's a non-event. It's a no-show. It has been a no-show for a many long time. And once again, we see them calling out to the likes of the United States of America, calling out to the United Nations. Now, all of this actually put together just gives me the feeling that the Arab world is impotent, or they have put their economic interests above all else. They put their economic interests above the people of Gaza. They put their economic interests above Masjid al-Aqsa. And the shedding of the blood can continue. But at this point in time, they can do absolutely nothing, or they don't have the political will to actually do something and to go against the West because of their economic interests. A country like Turkey still continues doing business with the likes of Israel. We've heard about Emirates flights still landing in Israel. So it's business as usual for them while all this carnage and this genocide is playing out, Julie.
I understand that MBS has a special relationship with Joe Biden. Someone referred to him as Genocide Biden. I thought that was really so appropriate. Be that as it may, he is trying to secure his future so that when the king dies, he becomes king. We know how ruthless these Arab leaders can become. They'd kill their own brothers, their own blood brother, just for position in in any way, form, or shape. So apparently he's trying to get curry favor with Western leaders, very especially Biden, to ensure that his position is retained when the current king dies, and then he can take on kingship. And one of the trade-offs for that was that he has allowed Israel the airspace over Saudi Arabia. That's just one of the horror stories that I've come across.
Well, Julie, I just need to take a step back, and this is not only about MBS at this point in time. Saudi Arabia has enjoyed a very special relationship with the likes of the United States of America. I recall years ago, I spoke to an author, and he was a CIA agent by the name of John Perkins, and he wrote a book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And in this interview, he made it very clear that he was part and parcel of the CIA delegation that met with the Saudi monarchy, and the deal that they had struck between Saudi Arabia and the United States of America was the revenues from all the oil would be banked in the banks of the United States of America, and in exchange, the United States of America would guarantee the security for the monarchy for life. So this was a deal that was struck long ago. And when one looks at the trillions and trillions of dollars that are lying in American banks, this is as a result of Saudi money, Saudi oil. Now, that's why we're not surprised that they have this economic interest above everything else. The same would go for many other countries. Many of these countries have got the army bases, they've got US military bases in their own country. We've seen Yemen wanting to, obviously, Yemen assisting and by obviously, getting involved militarily. But we've seen Yemen as well. We've seen the rockets being shot down from US air bases that are based in Saudi Arabia. And again, it actually brings us to a simple answer. All these countries have been guilty of genocide. All these countries have been guilty. The United States of America was formed as a country built on genocide when they got rid of the Red Indians. We look at Britain, colonialism right across the entire world. Millions upon millions of people had died at their hands. And the same would go for many of the other European nations. Saudi Arabia in exactly the same situation, together with the likes of the UAE. We know what they've done to Yemen. They reduced Yemen to rubble. They rendered Yemen to 80% of the people are living in abject poverty. So it comes as no surprise that all of them have actually banded together. But even more importantly, you can repeat your lies over and over again. At some point in time, it's going to catch up, and that is why I say even the statements condemning Israel at the Arab Summit last week, this is just pure empty rhetoric, and it means absolutely nothing at all, Julie.
It seems as if Germany too have now turned their back on the Palestinian people. And I've just come across a recent report where Mercedes-Benz in Germany have committed, I think, over 1 million euros to Israel. That is very, very shocking. And I'm wondering what all Mercedes drivers that are pro-Palestinian here in our country and the rest of the world are going to do, because I certainly wouldn't want to drive that brand of car knowing that our money, even though it might be an old car, that our money is funding the killing of our brothers and sisters in Palestine.
Well, this is right across the board, and I think this whole BDS movement and targeting all these countries, targeting businesses that do business with Israel, that are funding the IDF, that are funding the Israeli military, the killing machine, for want of a better term. All of them will have to be targeted at some point in time. And just last night, we met with the people from Pretoria, and they've made that now a clover-free area. And they were talking about strategically how they place themselves, how they approach people, how they approach the community. And this makes a lot of sense. And I think it's going to be one step at a time. You start with a complete boycott of one product, and already we've heard coming out of Clover, South Africa, which was sold to this to the Zionist company, that they're already starting to feel the heat. There are people who are willing to actually throw out every Clover product from their shelves and dump it into the dustbin. There are those huge supermarkets that have actually contacted Clover and told Clover, listen, you need to come, get your trucks, come and uplift your stock. We don't want to stock. And this is going to happen. And the key issue here, Julie, is it needs to be sustainable. When this thing blows over, we shouldn't be going back. And these campaigns need to be sustainable. We need to look at it on a company by company basis. We need to look at it a product by product basis, and also look at what is going to make the biggest impact. Because when it starts hurting, remember at this point in time, Israel are in a huge problem with regard to a negative growth. The economy is suffering in the last month, particularly in the last month. People are not going to jobs. There is a lot that is taking place, and this is the reason why even Benjamin Netanyahu, he is actually losing popularity within his own people. Just yesterday, we heard of a march that is going to take place from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem to the residence of Benjamin Netanyahu. So as much as people around the world are concerned, within Israel, there is huge opposition, and there is a call to end these attacks on Gaza and to end this genocide and carnage that is unfolding.
I'm going to bring you back to South African politics if you can allow me a few more minutes of your time. We have overrun, but I think this is a very, very important discussion. We'll also talk about the public meeting tonight. But let's talk South African politics and Gayton McKenzie, who has put out, I think, I'm not sure it was on his Instagram. Yeah, I think it was an Instagram message. He was very sarcastic in that message. I won't be able to give it to you verbatim, but the gist of it was it was targeted obviously at the BDS, saying that you calling for a boycott of Jewish businesses, then you need to tell your followers that they should stop going to visit Jewish medical professionals in the country and cut ties with all of Jewish people in the country. That was the gist of the message. My response, I didn't respond, but my response would be, we are not anti-Jewish. We as Muslims are anti-Zionist. There's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. And that fool, Gayton McKenzie, I guess the Zionists know what a fool he is, what a puppet he is, and that is why they're using him. So I guess the same old story, cross my palm with a silver coin and I'll be your slave for the rest of my life. Over to you,
Well, Julie,
Inayat.
I actually haven't heard that particular clip that you're talking about, or I haven't watched it as well. But what I can say
It
about
was,
Gayton
sorry, it was
McKenzie,
posted, I think it was posted late last night,
what I
or
can say
yesterday
about Gayton
sometime.
McKenzie or even Kenny Kunene, because the last time the Patriotic Alliance was actually invited to visit Israel, and I had the opportunity to interview Kenny Kunene, and you mentioned fool. And I think this, is actually amazing that you mentioned, because this is exactly what we are talking about. When I had interviewed Kenny Kunene, he had absolutely no knowledge whatsoever in terms of what has been playing out, the geopolitics of the region, what some of the real reasons are. There were many questions that I actually raised to Kenny Kunene, and he couldn't even answer. So, like to say, is these are puppets. The Zionists know who to use. Invite them to Israel, invite them on a trip. And this is what they fall for. And I won't be surprised if there is any funding that is now coming to the Patriotic Alliance. And this is the reason why they are towing the line. We've actually seen it earlier when all these developments were taking place. We've seen, I think it was, it was Gayton McKenzie, yes, attending an event that was held by the Zionist Federation. And he was making all sorts of threats and again,
No,
empty
it was Kenny
rhetoric.
Kuneni. It was Kenny
Was
Kuneni.
it
I
Kenny
saw that clip
Kunene?
yeah, it was
What?
Kenny Kuneni.
Yes.
I
So,
saw that clip
so we
as
can
well.
so we can just see, and in fact, what this is actually done is not only about the PA, it's about the DA, it's about the Freedom Front Plus, where they dared to question Dr. Naledi Pandor in the National Assembly, and they keep on repeating this lie about the 40 babies that were beheaded. And Dr. Naledi Pandor actually took him to task, and she debunked it. And she says, even if the US president said that, you know what, this didn't happen, and they still continue reporting. This again is a media campaign, the narrative of the media that is being spoken about or repeated over and over again. Just this morning on one of the other major radio stations, we've heard since October the 7th, 1,400 Israelis that were killed. Today, that very same radio speaks now about 1,200. Now, where did that reduction of number come about? Again, they lack the understanding. They don't know the deeper insight into what has been playing out in the last 75 years. At face value, this is what they do. They've got embedded media. They've got world media that is controlled by these Zionist organizations. They take their stories, and this is what they do. They repeat over and over again. So I would actually treat someone like Gayton McKenzie or even Kenny Kunene with a pinch of salt, because they don't even know what they're talking about.
Well, it just goes to prove, I mean, for a long while, there were calls for South African politicians to, to make known who their funders are. They needed to come, to have open books on who is funding them. We do know that a lot of the political parties are captured. They're captured by Zionists and other such parties to serve their own interest. So thus far, I don't think that has yet happened, where political parties are, are going to be forced to open up their books for the rest of the country to see who is being, who is funding them, and to the tune of money that's, exchanging hands here. We need to wrap up. I know you also have to go. You had a very early start to the morning, and you have a long day ahead of you. There's that public meeting tonight, which I want you to touch on. But let's just take one final comment from Roshan Anwar, who is saying, USA and British told lies. Here we go. I've got it up screen. USA and British told lies before the invasion into Iraq. That Iraq, obviously, we all know that having weapons of mass destruction. Now, USA and Israel says Hamas hiding the hospitals. 100%, Roshan. Thank you indeed for those comments. Would you like to say something to that comment, Inayat?
Well, what more can we say? We know what had happened with Tony Blair. He was proven to be a liar, because the whole issue surrounding weapons of mass destruction had actually come through from Tony Blair. He was proven a liar. We've seen, I think is it Scott Ritter, who was a UN weapons inspector at that point in time. He investigated, he put out the report. And if we see what Scott Ritter is talking about, what is happening with Gaza, with the brutality and the...
He's changed his tune now, has he not?
Exactly, Julie. So all of this, at the end of the day, the truth must surface. And as far as Israel is concerned, that truth, in fact, their lies have been almost debunked immediately. The 40 babies was debunked immediately. The
Mm,
bombing of the one hospital where they talked about the Hamas rocket misfiring and landing on their own hospital, that was debunked immediately. And we'll see all of that. And this time around, what makes this Gaza atrocities so different is we are in the age of social media. At that point in time with Iraq, it was different. It required people to go in, to investigate, to research, and then come up with the theory and what the truth was. This time around, every time Israel does something, every time they say something, every narrative that is repeated by the mainstream media is being debunked by lies over and over again. So the state of Israel was created on a lie. This genocide is all about a lie, and everything else is related. And this includes the Israeli public, who are saying that we are being lied to. So their own people are saying we are being lied to. And this is the reason why we see this global response right across the world. We've seen the massive numbers. Washington, 400,000 people on a single day on the streets of Washington. Britain, close to 1 million people, despite what the leaders are saying, despite the threats of banning protests and marches, people are starting to come out in their millions because they know that all of this has been debunked, and it just doesn't make sense. So it's a lie, Julie.
okay, let's talk about what's happening tonight, the public meeting.
Yes, the public meeting taking place tonight at the Lakewood Conference Center. We're starting at 7 p.m. But before that, there are a number of programs that are taking place. In fact, as we were speaking, Mads Gilbert was at ENCA for an interview at 9:30. I missed that interview, but I'm sure we will catch up. There is a 11:30 recorded interview with SABC. INX will be doing this interview tomorrow. And over the next few days, there's going to be a lot of media engagement. On the 16th, you've got the likes of Power FM, other radio stations like CII Radio, Islam, Hilal TV. The Citizen is doing something. Newsroom Africa will be carrying this live. There's press briefings both in Durban and Cape Town. The Sikunjalo Group has actually arranged at the Hyatt Hotel in Cape Town, inviting close to 50 journalists that will be at this interview. So there is a huge media campaign surrounding the visit of Dr. Mads Gilbert. And also we've had inquiries come through from Russia today, the Chinese Global Network. We're working on Al Jazeera, on TRT. So this is a campaign that is going to go internationally from a media perspective and the media exposure. Over and above that, there are going to be meetings with prominent personalities. There's a trip also in the offing to Soweto, and the major events that are taking place starting tonight at Omonde at the Lakewood Conference Center. We've got one coming up on Friday in Durban at the NMJ. Then there's one coming back to Pretoria, and that's going to be Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. at the Al Ghazali College. Sunday we go to PE, and on Monday we're going to be in Cape Town. So it's going to be a full schedule, Julie. It's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. And at this point in time, we are overwhelmed. We are inundated with people wanting to know about the Mads Gilbert tour to South Africa, because this is the first time you've got a high-profile person, an international figure, a humanitarian, someone who knows every inch of Gaza. He has a complete understanding of the medical situation in Gaza in general. And he's been a figure that's been wanted right across the entire world. So we in South Africa, we at Salam Media, are actually fortunate to have him here in South Africa at this crucial time when all of us are talking about this, when all of us are overwhelmed with what is taking place in Gaza. And I'm sure there's going to be a huge value add. And Dr. Gilbert mentioned this morning on his arrival at the airport that despite being happy to be in South Africa, he is even more sad because he says, I can't be with my people in Gaza. I can't be with my people at the Al Shifa hospital because of what has taken place this morning.
Okay, so I also understand that tonight at the public meeting at the Lakewood Conference Centre, it's an open public meeting, which means all welcome. You don't need to RSVP or anything. It starts at 7 o'clock. It ends around about 21:30. There is Salah facilities, but we also have two other award-winning, amazing, high-profile speakers. Can you tell us about them, please?
Yes, well, we've got Ronnie Kestrels, obviously, who's going to be a speaker as well. We were due to have Dr. Helen Rees with us, but she unfortunately cannot make it. Apparently, there was some misunderstanding with regard to her times because she's got another engagement. But what we are getting this evening is we are getting, and I think her first name is Sumaya, if I may be wrong, I'm not too sure of the surname, but she is actually arriving this afternoon. She has been stationed at the Rafah crossing for the last few days and trying to get in. But unfortunately, she couldn't get in, so she's decided to actually fly back to South Africa. So she will be sharing her experiences live from the Rafah crossing, considering that Dr. Gilbert and his medical team have been in Egypt for the last few weeks. They also waiting to get in the moment the Rafah crossing is open and they're allowed to go and offer humanitarian aid, medical services. So in Dr. Helen Rees's place, we have got the sister who will be with us this afternoon. And also, they've got another number of other people who will possibly come through. There would be things like Q&A. There would be support messages coming through from various organizations. Many organizations have actually expressed a willingness to be involved. You'll see it in our national banner, the number of organizations that have already joined in. So it is going to be big. It's going to be huge. And Julie, I'm not too sure whether you had seen the picture, the preparation of the hall, and this was actually stunning because the organizers and those that had actually set up the hall actually set up all the chairs in the form of the Palestinian flag, and it looks just
Wow.
so beautiful, which alone makes a very, very profound statement in itself.
Okay, now I haven't seen those. I hope someone from the team can forward it to me. Let's wrap up then, Inayat, both you and I. This is way over our time, but this is an especially poignant moment for all of us. It's a very special occasion. We do hope and pray that these voices are heard, Dr. Mads Gilbert's voice, and other voices are heard loudly, clearly, and right across the lands, so that people can wake up to the realization that a genocide of a scale never seen before is taking place. It's going down in Palestine right now. Closing thoughts from you, Inayat Wadi.
Well, Julie, I just appeal to people to obviously to come out in their numbers, and I'm sure they will. There are certain areas that are concerned that this is going to be so big. The venues may be a bit too small. Together with that, obviously there are going to be fundraisers at some of the events. These fundraisers are in aid of Gaza, in aid of medical supplies. So that is going to happen. But more importantly, as Dr. Gilbert mentioned, he says he wants to meet with a cross section of South African society. He says, and this is exactly what we've done in planning this tour as well, in reaching out to as many people as possible. And inshallah, we're looking forward to a highly successful tour by Dr. Mads Gilbert. And I'm sure from time to time, Julie, we will touch base and we will get regular updates as to how this tour is going at the various cities. It's just a pity he's here for a short period of time because we've had requests even from some of the outlying areas to bring Dr. Mads Gilbert to them. But his time doesn't allow it. He's here for a few days. And this is the reason why we've got all these back-to-back events that are taking place at all the major cities in and around the country.
And hats off to the management team here at Salam Media, Shamshir Khan, Ponti Israel Maletsani. I know you two have been very, very involved, and the rest of the staff, they've really taken this on so very personally, close to their heart, and they've all been working long hours to make this possible. And the person who came up with this idea and this initiative, I think is just truly, truly remarkable that we have a man of this caliber coming to South Africa to truly give us an inside picture of what exactly is happening in the hospitals, particularly Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza. But of course, all of that will be unfolded in the coming days. And once again, congratulations to this small but very powerful and strong team here at Salam Media with the most amazing leadership at the helm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all efforts. I will probably be seeing you lots in the coming days in Ayat. And I know when you talk about this issue, it is with so much of passion in your voice. You really carry us away with you. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your efforts, your commitment to this wholehearted commitment to this situation, the genocide in Gaza. It must and it will stop, and very soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Walaikum salam. And just finally, Julie, I echo your sentiments about the Salam Media team. I've seen how hard they work. We're a small team, but we're a highly dedicated, committed team, and making a success of each and everything. And really, it's about an entire team effort. And alhamdulillah, for an independent media organization like ours to be able to pull off something like this of such magnitude, such a huge scale, alhamdulillah, it actually makes us feel so good. It makes us feel so wonderful and appreciate the efforts of everyone in making a success. We've had events in the past, but this is, I think, about the biggest, and inshallah, we will pull it off. But to you, Julie, as well, Jazakallah. And, you speak about me, but I know how passionate you've been. We've been colleagues for a very, very long time. So, Julie, I think both of us know each other in and out as well. And we'd like to thank you. We say Jazakallah to you as well. And inshallah, all the best. But Jazakallah for having me this morning. Assalamu alaikum.
Absolute pleasure. Let's not forget our partners. A call out to all of our partners. We will mention them over the course of the coming week, inshallah. So you go well. I'll see you later, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
And that's where we leave it. Thank you indeed for your company over the past 2.5 hours. Alhamdulillah, it's gone very, very well. A big shout out to our controller behind the controls. That's you, Abdul Salam. You ran solo this morning. It's been a bit of a challenge, but you managed it beautifully. Thank you indeed. And of course, lots more coming from us here at Salam Media over the coming days with Dr. Mads Gilbert. Please do stick with us. Go to our social pages, tune into our programs, and keep abreast with everything that is happening regarding the genocide in Palestine. Time for me to wrap up. Thank you once again. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz.